Joker is quite literally the guy who insists he's right on certain subjects and will not tolerate any pushback on it without instantly dismissing you as a whole and going on to proclaim that he truly could never be wrong on things he says. Joker, on the other hand, is not ever willing to do this and will instead fabricate things in his head based off of very little to go on. It's hard not to read through this without wondering if Joker is actually delusional or just putting on a front. I really wonder what the answer is gonna be, and if Joker successfully derails the answer to something else, then it goes to show there's really no point in continuing to talk to someone who's done nothing but make relentless, assertive, stupid correlations that don't add up. You say one thing he doesn't like, and then he'll be the first one to instantly assume your positions on something you never said.
Oh, wow. That's quite literally this entire video in a nutshell. Before we begin, here's my little Ultimate TLDR summary on Ultamate Joker for those unaware. Ultamate Joker is an individual who likes to proclaim himself as a supreme intellectual with takes he loudly and proudly asserts as objective and deemed superior, along with his totally flawless mindsets on any given subject. He oftentimes gives very rage-baity takes, speaking what he deems is the harsh truth in his online crusade to bully ignorance into submission. A good example of this is how I found him via his infamous Peter was objectively nerfed in Spider-Man 2 video. It had some merit, but it wasn't without notice. Long story short, it spilled out heavily into other names who Joker would proceed to have a problem with due to their responses and claims towards his character. Despite having disagreements big and small, I let many aspects of Joker's traits slide as they didn't feel too bad or bad enough for me to condemn him completely or call our at the time friendship off. There were many takes he had that I simply was unaware of because I hadn't seen them yet. Prior to this, I was still certain that he was not a bigot or in any way, shape, or form. I was wrong. So after this discovery and Joker's refusal to acknowledge the problem I wanted to confront him on, I promptly declared our friendship over. Joker continued to kick the hornet's nest with bad take after bad take. He eventually would catch the eye of an individual well known in the Spider-Man community at this point, SK. This is where it gets heavy. Not only did SK make a response video to one of Joker's many petty videos, but SK also noticed that Joker had engaged with an individual named Arachnid Youth, who SK and others were at one point friends with, only to end it due to problematic things on Youth's behalf. Ironic. SK proceeded to raid Joker's Discord server and promptly confront him about his association with Arachnid. We'll get into more details on this later, but for now, just know Arachnid, like Joker, had more severely problematic takes that he was willing to genuinely die on a hill for. SK pointed this out to Joker rather quickly, and the many problems such an individual carries to be around are associated with. How does Joker respond? Not intellectually. Things were kinda silent up until Joker went on ahead and leaned even further into ignorance by having an individual named Kinoflex assist with an expose of Colin, SK, and Gamingrift with many inaccurate claims. SK in signature fashion dedicated a response to this, debunking the false claims and other points. Colin and Rift also took part in this as well, rightfully so. Rage baiting and instigating shit unnecessarily with people just because they did something that annoyed you is one thing, but then when those people go to you pointing out something that's bad and delivering a fair warning that associating with such is bad, and then responding 1,000-fold by lying about them is pretty fucked up to say the least. However, SK got to an agreement to have a discussion with Joker and others on an elongated call. Long story short, they came to an agreement to take their videos on each other down that they felt fit, and for a moment things were chill. At least, they should have been. Months later, Joker not only republished his false expose video under bad pretenses, but now has truly gone for the landmine of stirring shit unnecessarily, repeating his foolish mistakes of false accusations. And now we're here. And when I say Joker's repeating false accusations, I'm not talking about the ones he made towards James Gunn in his latest video. I'm talking about the ones he continues to make towards individuals he doesn't like off the basis of him not liking them, to even content creators who utterly have zero history with Joker. I know Joker is going to see this, and he's going to have to hold disappointment and realization that his entire video has a very easy rebuttal. Just because I like Superman or Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't mean I condone or am okay with the behaviors the director has exhibited or things he said that he doesn't even stand by today. But Joker insists to paint me and others as people who are okay with it or would feel some obligation to defend it. No, Joker, that's not at all how this works. For those who don't know, James Gunn has a very shady history with edgy jokes that go into racist, homophobic, and even predatory territory, going even as far as to have a To Catch a Predator themed party. For the record, I'm not okay with any of these things, even if they were 20 years ago, and call me crazy, but I don't think the others are really okay with it either. Like anyone, they simply watch and enjoy the films. Joker's entire premise hinges on the fact that just because I've never explicitly stated or spoke on this before means I'm somehow all good with it. It's fucking retarded. Do you realize how insane you really have to be to unironically think that someone not speaking about something is completely indicative of what they actually think of said thing, if they think about it at all? Joker's logic literally accuses any and everyone else, including in the general fucking public, to be okay with Gunn's bad behaviors regardless if they even knew or not. Separating art from the artist is indeed a true sentiment. I don't think Joker even has the mind to comprehend this, but for the sake of everyone, a figure behind a project you like or enjoy can indeed be in deep shit, and you can continue to enjoy said project while condemning the figure in question. It's literally what enables me and pretty much everyone else to be morally permissible to take part in a neutral act while separating it from the person associated with that neutral act, even if said person has skeletons in the closet. Few people, especially in the general public, go to watch Guardians of the Galaxy or Superman for James Gunn, let alone any other director unless they're lollygagging for them. More than likely, they're watching it for those characters. Pointing out that this behavior was a long time ago and Gunn didn't actually engage in any illegal activities is also worth pointing out and true, as there is a such thing as people changing from their prior behaviors. Time accumulated, especially years, can indeed be very telling of whether or not someone has truly changed for better or strayed away from their bad behaviors for good. Change is indeed a real thing that real people are really capable of. It's kinda lame how you are an exception to this. This isn't even a defense, this is literally just true and applicable to damn near anything in general that has a bad factor that contributes to its existence. If it's not clear enough, I don't really have a problem with Joker making the video on Gunn. I have a problem with him dragging others, myself included, into it for worse. Not only is it gross how Joker just straight up lies, calling people he doesn't like defenders of pedophilic comics and remarks when it's not true at all, but it's baffling coming from him, the one who could not admit to any wrongs literally ever. As mentioned before, SK and his friends pulled up to Joker's Discord server, immediately confronting him about a friend they had named Arachnid Youth. For more detail, Youth is indeed an individual willing to die on the cancerous hill that Lolly is not pedophilic, it's just a drawing. The man's got a history with confirming to this belief, being pressed on it by friends into conceding, only to go back on it and insist so hard that he threw his friendship away over it.
Let's get to the meat. So, I guess the first place to start out with is you admitted that you lied about your position on cartoon child. Why did you lie about it?
We'll get into why you phrase it like that, because I got my own issues with that.
Okay, so why did you fake concede to it? Why did you lie?
Well, for one thing, I was tired.
Okay,
because
so
when
you
we were
could have just
talking
said,
about
let's
it,
talk
I
about
was
it
on
another time.
Yeah, I could have done that. But ultimately, what made me just do that is ultimately I wanted to be around you guys, and I felt like if I acted like I had those opinions, I wouldn't be able to do that.
And why do you?
So you thought it was a good idea to have a friendship based on a lie for like at least 2 years?
Yeah, that's the worst, not the best idea, but...
Hello?
Well, no.
Are you serious?
Only one idea.
When Joker is confronted about this, he states that he doesn't care about drawings, ignoring and dismissing the clear attraction to minors associated with said drawings. So rather than be willing to acknowledge that he's directly associating with a genuinely problematic individual, he'd rather dismiss it in the worst way imaginable, but also spin the narrative and pivot to something else in the name of moral inconsistency, despite not only his argument and pivot being inconsistent, but also can be foolishly applied in and weaponized to pander to relentless false narratives. Remember, Joker's logic is that because I never directly confirmed my position on the James Gunn shit means I support and defend it. Well, a little birdie told me that James Franco allegedly engaged in sexual misconduct. I never heard you or Rez speak on that. In fact, I'm pretty sure you guys made a video praising Harry's arc in Spider-Man 3 without prefacing his allegations. That means you're a supporter of sexual misconduct. Pretty sure Franco even admitted to knowingly texting a 17-year-old when he was way older than her. You okay with that too? Shit, dude, this is way worse because at the end of the day, for all of James Gunn's fault, he never actually has been proven to engage in any way with anybody under 18. Franco literally admits to doing this. It doesn't even really need to stop there. I wasn't kidding when I said that this shit could apply to literally anything that has a negative factor to it. That phone you used more than likely involved some poor kid in China slaving the fuck away on labor law violations to get that shit made because it was cheaper to have it manufactured over there in China instead of here. Don't even get me started with global warming. All those hours you spend pouring into your little Uber side hustle that you brag about don't really help with the carbon dioxide your car shits into the atmosphere. I mean, you gotta at least condemn it to your passengers before you give them your helping hand with every ride, right?
Like, look at this one loser I caught on my phone during my Uber side hustle. The comments are just 2-ish minutes apart across 4 videos, which means he's leaving comments on videos that he's not even watching a quarter of, or even a minute of.
You know, if we're staying truly consistent to Joker's logic, veganism is actually super duper based and we should never eat another lick of meat ever again. You know, if you want to stay really true to Joker's flawless logic, I can make the argument that it's actually morally permissible and okay to start killing people in Grand Theft Auto who dare to smoke a cigarette. Now, obviously, I don't actually think these things, but it's to showcase just how cutthroat the rulings would be if we actually stuck to such a crazy line of thinking. Again, just because I or anyone else for that matter haven't exclusively talked about the bad shit James Gunn did doesn't mean I approve of it, and it's kind of fucking weird how I have to establish that time and again here. It's literally a point solely for weaponization purposes only, and I kind of find it funny how most of this dirt on James Gunn can be found on dedicated Snyder Cut Reddit forums. Like I said, I'm not defending this shit the dude did, but it is a little funny that there's only one group that's hyper dedicated to bringing this shit up. It also takes away from your credibility, as it's not unfair to assume that that's where most of your motivation from this video comes from, not to expose what happened, but to get back at those you dislike. It's quite literally Twitter's broken cancel culture thing. And I find it funnier, again, that Joker's morality is based upon picking and choosing when he feels like it's appropriate. Like established, Joker actively talks about the shit James Gunn has done, but when presented with problematic rhetoric someone he associates directly with, his tune completely shifts to pure ignorance on a genuine issue. Even with mountains of evidence, this clown literally admits he has no desire to know or even remotely acknowledge it unless it fits his personalized convenient category of problems.
As far as what I know for Arachne Youth, I'll be honest, I don't really care to go through 4 hours or multiple hour-long videos on the research unless there's like actual cases. I'm not gonna go through all that unless I have like proof of him pulling an EDP and trying to meet up with an underage girl, which didn't happen, or if there's like actual proof of him, but as far as I've heard about, no.
Dog, if doing the bare minimum amount of research on something like this is that difficult for you and all you can do is operate off of word of mouth, don't fucking speak. It's, again, funny because
if these kind of people think that drawings are enough to call someone a pedophile, then Gunn has that type of dirt on him too, since he has a list of top DC women he wants to bang, which includes heroes generally portrayed as teenagers from the team called the Teen Titans, such as Starfire and Raven.
Okay, so it's all good when someone you're cool with is into fictional characters of an inappropriate age set or justifies such a thing, but when James Gunn is associated, now it's a problem. You know, Joker, there is indeed a consistency to be found here. I'm not okay with lolly shit or the James Gunn shit, unlike you, who chooses to take issue with one of these things. Crazy, right? 2 wrongs don't make a right? No way. Speaking of consistency, a big talking point Joker constantly walks himself into is racial-related issues. Constantly emphasizing how important they are to address, which is perfectly fine and fair. The problem comes in when you recognize that Joker is extremely uncaring and judgmental to pretty much anybody else. No, he's not just ignoring these groups or simply not speaking on them, he literally speaks badly upon them.
The most illogical form of racism ever, only being rivaled by Indians making fun of black people for stealing, as if they don't have an official job stealing from people via multiple scam centers. When a black person steals from someone, It's face to face and him breaking the law, as opposed to clocking in to steal the entire life savings from some old person suffering from dementia as an official job.
Okay, dude, like, these two things aren't both very, very bad things to do regardless. Why did I let this slide back then? So not only does Joker lean into stereotypes, which is problematic within it of itself, but he's also openly homophobic and transphobic. I've covered this more in my last video on him, but Joker not only bashes and downplays the discrimination that homosexuals have to deal with, but also proclaims that prejudice towards such a group is okay because homosexual backgrounds are different from racial and ethnical backgrounds.
Overall, discrimination is bad when someone is being judged for what they cannot help, and not whatever the fuck you guys decide to do as a choice.
This is obviously not okay because, like I said before, prejudice is prejudice. Homophobia is bad, just like racism towards any group is bad, just like any form of bigotry that involves hatred or negative conduct towards any group just for existing is bad. Prejudice is prejudice, and it's bad all around. He also acts as though Across the Spider-Verse pulls an insane sin via having a protect trans kids flag, despite this being a genuine non-issue. Regardless of how you feel about kids transitioning, from that point, the only thing I really care about is ensuring that that kid is not a victim of discrimination. I can only question if Joker could share the same sentiment. After all, Joker does care about the safety of children, right? Well, as you can guess, that's only when it's convenient for him. You cannot be an individual who acts like a paragon of virtue and morals when you make claims such as these and stand by them. This is my assertion of Joker without even getting into his childish behavior he relentlessly exhibits in his videos.
Oh, you don't know how a woman looks like. Fuck you! Go fuck yourself and die, you socially oblivious blind moron. Go dip your eyes in acid if you can't use your eyes correctly enough to notice that the average healthy woman under the age of 30 or maybe even 40 doesn't look that dog shit.
Are you okay? What the fuck?
Look like these various characters with motion capture, then I'm pretty sure that MJ can look normal instead of being a self-insert for an arrogant, ugly bitch that looks as bad as her dog shit, Sweet Baby Ink writing. Anyone who defends shit that bad is genuinely a neck snap tier individual whose gaslighting should be punished. Someone who can't put together that this doesn't look right probably isn't an individual who could accomplish anything in life except working as a shill for some company. A shill with thousands of subs is still a shill. If you're going to lie to yourself and say this is normal, then you can't be trusted with anything important in life, and maybe the best suggestion I could give you is this quote.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
Beauty is within the eye of the beholder. Die!
Are you okay? Hello? Back when Joker was still relatively harmless, an individual named Gamingrift made response video after response video to Joker's takes on Spider-Man. Joker would express immense frustration with this, and it would honestly be kind of understandable, except he handled it in the worst way possible. Throughout responses, Rift would make accusations towards Joker's character. Chief among them was that Joker is a racist individual. Joker took immense issue with this. Not only would he dedicate a response video, but also dedicate multiple references to Rift, like a sort of personal enemy, a passionate hatred towards him. And while it's understandable to take heavy issue with someone making a false claim against you, how far you go with it and how far they've went with it do need to be taken in consideration. I know this because I was also given a false label by Rift. The key thing is that Rift apologized to me, which quickly prompted me to forgive him and move on and not care about his video on me staying up because I knew he didn't stand by it and it was an aged video, unlike Joker, who, when the time came to speak to SK directly, didn't give a fuck about what he was pressed upon and even straight up avoided fault once time came because he didn't care and only wanted to get at Rift.
Okay, so would you say we're particularly done with this topic? Because as Janice said, this is sort of just going to keep going in circles, correct?
Well,
yeah, this isn't going anywhere. Yo,
I mean,
Janice,
we couldn't get
okay,
on that
yo.
established.
Right,
But
we're going in circles. Can we please move
That's it.
topics? But the Gamingrift here has made tons of textbook defamation claims.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 videos.
Can I respond?
No, we're talking to SK here.
Bro literally came in with a slideshow dedicated to insulting Rift and screaming victim. He even uses my clips from a video that he knew I no longer stood by because he's incapable of truly speaking for himself. Mind you, two of Joker's videos that see him speaking on heavy topics primarily involve Rezikin. Rezikin is essentially There's no other way to say it. He's Joker's lapdog. Rezakin not only speaks primarily for Joker on his best and worst day, but also dedicates hard for engagement, leaving multiple comments and even going around everywhere he possibly can wherever Joker's name is tarnished so he can either troll, be weird, or defend his name in some way. Rezakin is not a smart individual, he's just good at sounding smart, so during that stream, it was mostly Rezakin doing the talking while Joker was patiently waiting for his Rift expose to display to the classroom. Joker's inability to do anything himself is on even further display. The video Joker made in response to initially being confronted was a huge expose to those he didn't like, with nothing but lies, all being led by the individual named KinoFlex, who made very odd assertions to say the least, when there are not one, not two, but 3 channels that all make their own dedicated video, including live streams, to actively refute your points. Maybe you should reconsider where you're getting your information from that doesn't have a true point of proof. Everything that Kino says in that video, Joker takes at 100% face value even to this day after the video's debunking the claims. Again, you are platforming an individual who's spreading lies. If it's this fucking difficult for you, just quit. You are an actual problem to the online space. Long story short, a lot of the stream that stemmed from the result was kind of going in circles about the whole Arachnid Youth thing, and the later portions were dedicated to Joker wanting a desperate get back at Rift. Joker did not care about where this started. He even admits to it himself. Eventually, an agreement was reached between everyone where Rift would take his videos on Joker down, and Joker would censor his mentions of Rift and take his videos down, and everything would finally be all Gucci. Except it wasn't, because not only did Joker re-upload the blind video, but he also took unnecessary shots at SK and Rift in his newest Superman videos. I can't tell if all this stems from his hatred towards Rift or the fact that his precious Snyder films don't get a return. No, the saddest part is that the re-upload of this video exists under the worst pretense. Let's take a look at the updated description for why this would get a re-upload after everything. Let's start right over here. As for SK, he took down his community post alluding to us being PDF endorsers, which I will say is likely due to the fact that what he was given to work with was never quite enough to make such claims, likely because of him wanting to dirty up the image of a 1K sub channel like mine over not totally loving their Insomniac games, while pointing out that the second game not getting DLC ended up making the game shorter than their first, despite all the studio bootlicking these Insomniac stan channels tend to do. Holy shit, it's this all over again. He's never learned. This is a lie. I don't even like SK, and I know there's no fucking way he'd ever go after someone's character over such a petty disagreement. That's not how it goes. Take the petty dumb gamer shit out of it and reflect on your own fucking behavior for once. He's literally done the exact same thing with me when accusing my motivations of going against him over the stupid ass video game that literally means nothing. Holy shit, he has not changed at all. He will lie about you confidently and stick to narratives he either made up or was too lazy to even try fact checking. Why else would this video exist to begin with? But anyway, the main reason this video is being relisted is due to the fact that Colin's and the Gamingrift response video to this video are still public despite me leaving this video privated for around 5 to 6 months before relisting this video on July 25th, 2025. Those response videos are still up, often show up as a search result when searching variations of Ultimate Joker in tandem with the fact that we never deliberately lied about anything as far as what Rezakin and I can confirm, in tandem with it never really feeling good that we hid this video for the sake of the whole truth behind Colin trying to cost KinoFlex job opportunities and a whole slew of other things we've delved into here that we leave up to the viewers to interpret for themselves and draw their own conclusions. Oh my god, this is insane. How can you say that you never deliberately lied on anything when there are 3 response videos that literally disprove almost every single claim in your stupid video? You mean to tell me you re-upped this video all because Rift's video and Colin's video, who as far as I'm concerned never even spoke with you, in Rift's video debunking your claims towards him still exist? So rather than just ask Rift to private the video, Joker re-ups his and continues to provoke a beef that had every right to stay dead. The only thing Rift ever established truly caring about this whole time was wanting to be done with the beef once and for all and finally ending it, even going along with what you wanted, that he didn't even owe you, by the way.
And I'll ask this to the both of you. If I was to take down those videos and do a public apology, can you confirm that this whole thing will end? We'll all go our separate ways and just move on. Because that's ultimately what I want. Like, and again, with the Katana fans, I've apologized to him. I'm willing to apologize to you guys. That doesn't mean we have to be friends, not in the slightest. But that is what I'm asking. If I take those videos down, can you confirm to me that this situation will end? Like, you won't, like, make community posts on me, reference me in videos, what have you. Like, just move on. That's ultimately what I want.
But I doubt he would have had a problem if you simply just communicated with him like an adult to take one video that was still bothering you down. Maybe not Colin, but given that Rift has expressed remorse for false labels towards those who don't deserve it, it's not unfair to assume that he would likely be willing to cooperate with such a simple request. Joker not only can't bring himself to get his stories right, but he can't even bring himself to communicate properly with people he's starting to be under better conditions with. This is pathetic. The only conclusions that are fair to come from this are that Joker is either really retarded, really petty, or just drama farming as much as possible. However, I doubt he's really smart enough for option 3 because there are so many other ways that you can get better clout without making a complete ass of yourself. If you haven't already noticed, this video overall isn't really about Joker's newest Gunn video. As I said, I don't really have a problem with it by itself. I don't think James Gunn is an actual pedophile. He's done shit worthy of criticism. Whether or not you share the same sentiment is entirely up to you, as I don't blame someone for looking at this shit and coming to their own conclusions. However, it is worthy of note that there is no true substantial proof that James Gunn actually engaged with minors in any way. He just did and said a lot of really shady and stupid shit that no one's really okay with. My problem, again, is with Joker dragging others into it. I do want to respond to a particular point within the video. Joker is gleeful to accuse people of things they never said or did based off his own pre-baked assumptions, as we've already established.
As this, among other similar scenarios of Twitter logic, objectively doesn't fit any legal definition of being a pedophile, or something that warrants a legal investigation.
Wait, then isn't your entire video here refuted by that alone? Gunn has never really been completely legally convicted of anything or crossed into any true illegal territory. You yourselves admit that there is no true legal case against Gunn, and it's all deductive reasoning thanks to shit from 20 years ago you still wish to speculate on.
Just to clarify, this is me going out on a limb and inferring that he actually hosted one based on his pattern of behavior. So don't come at me acting like I'm presenting speculation as proof, because even if I won't conclusively claim something I can't back up with solid evidence, I'm going to give you the evidence so that you can decide what to make of it yourself if you disagree with some of my inferences. And yeah, I'm biased here.
So that doesn't work, but we're not even really talking about a legal standpoint, we're talking about ethics. So on two fronts, this shit doesn't really work. Arachnid Youth's interest in established young characters doesn't really fit a legal definition of being a pedo, but that doesn't make it any less bad, just like it doesn't make the Gunn remarks any less bad either, just because they don't break the law. You can't just pick and choose which one is okay and which one is not based on convenience to you. I can say both are bad and inexcusable, unlike Joker, who can't even admit to Arachnid Youth's behavior being bad and instead opts for it's weird.
Well, let me just ask you a question if we want this to move forward and just be done. So, Ultimate Joker, would you say it is bad that Arachnid Youth was trying to defend the idea that someone who gets off to a baby in Across the Spider-Verse, the idea that that's not pedophilic, would you say that's just wrong to say?
It's odd behavior that we do not stand by. Despite the behavior being low-key messed up and worthy of condemnation if it becomes too repetitive of a joke or has real-life consequences like with Gunn.
What are you going on about? Both of these things carry real-life consequences. Making relentless pedo jokes risks normalizing the behavior, just as getting off to fictional child characters or lollies in fact do also normalize the behavior. In fact, I would be down to argue that the latter is worse, because if someone is making relentless jokes of such a topic, but establishes that they don't really mean or stand by them unironically, that's not the same as someone actually being attracted to such material or depictions and getting off to it sexually and being open about it. Both of these things are bad regardless. But Joker seriously insists upon making Gunn's acts worse while being ignorant to what he directly associates with an Arachnid Youth.
But there you go, more SK hypocrisy where this little chronically online weasel snake bitch doesn't bring any of this up with James Gunn, even though he has like 10 or more videos shilling for his mid-at-best popcorn flick movies. It's almost as if he just tries to make up random labels to condemn other people when they're on the receiving end of his slop response videos that make up the vast majority of his content, as he himself looks for baby MJ pictures to send, just like the chronically online weirdo that he is.
Don't worry, Gunn. We don't care about that. We will defend and show for your movies. And what does he show? An inappropriately themed party that he has moved on from, apologized for, and you know what are we supposed to do with that? If he were to do a party like that again, yeah, I would say, what the fuck are you doing? What is wrong with you? Don't do that. But that's not what happened. So, like, And look at this phrasing right here. We will defend.
We can still denounce
movies, and it's so funny, right? The whole shilling argument. I gave the Suicide Squad a 5 out of 10, and I haven't revisited it to see if that changes, but that was what I last gave it. I give the Superman movie a 5 out of 10. I'm not even a shill for it. I just think it's average. So this whole thing about shilling or whatever is just completely fabricated. Yeah. He's just saying this because he saw that I liked it, didn't care why I liked it, didn't care about the context. He's just like, oh, he's a shill. He defends everything. Fuck this guy. It's blatant dishonesty.
It's just lying. It's just lying scumbag behavior, especially after we've already settled everything. I just don't understand.
Exactly.
Ignoring Joker's signature lying efforts, most of the insults packaged into this further solidify the reasonable assumption that most of this is just spite driven towards the movie and people he doesn't like who have not truly wronged him. It's also funny how you reference the baby MJ picture, as you know good and damn well the reason he brought that instance up. This is exactly what it looks like when someone is being disingenuous, and all you have to do is look at the screenshot itself to recognize Joker is twisting SK's words and intents. Quote, "So you're okay with people jerking off to babies as long as they're in drawings. Got it. Want to know the messages that occurred before this? SK warning Joker about arachnid youth with serious claims as Joker dismisses it. SK responds with the screenshot already showcased. He is using this as an example, yet Joker is here trying to make it seem as if SK is the suspicious one when he's directly challenging Joker's bad response. If you claim not to give a fuck about drawings, you're essentially saying you don't give a fuck about someone getting off to a drawing of a baby. Joker has the audacity to play stupid and make SK seem like the weird one, despite it being clear that SK is bringing up a perfectly reasonable and fair example to counter Joker's flawed view. Joker responds with more pathetic ignorance and somehow makes it again about the Insomniac Spider-Man games. What is wrong with this guy? Again, if this is your reaction to being met with severe accusations that actually hold weight towards someone you associate with, do everyone a favor and just quit. It's not like Joker was unaware of any of this. He's literally choosing to be ignorant on the subject brought up until he's eventually forced to concede in a public live stream, only to go back on his words later.
We have another mostly reaction video slop Spider-Man YouTuber called Colin, who said he was fine enjoying the movies of James Gunn despite the gun info we informed him on, even though he's went after a guy for cartoon drawings, just like SK.
Bro, why are you lying? Colin has never directly spoken to Joker, and Joker provides no proof of directly confronting Colin about anything. Given that Colin himself states they never directly talk, I'm gonna go ahead and call bullshit. And even then, like anyone else, I'm pretty sure Colin would share the same stance, willing to recognize the shit that Gunn did 20 years ago was not okay. It's really not that hard. My only question is, why do you need to lie about these people, man?
You can catch him saying this in a video response to us when Restican and I interviewed a Discord member of theirs called KinoFlex, who claimed Colin and SK used real CSAM with blurred faces to lure in PDF files. Fishing for more of what is likely themselves, I see.
Oh my... Okay, I don't even know where to start. So the claim is that Colin used actual CSAM to lure in predators. Coming from a video that's 99% proven lies and false claims, in a nutshell, KinoFlex's at the time point was that since Colin and SK didn't have an actual case against arachnid youth due to the loophole that Lolly creates as it isn't completely illegal, Colin and SK don't have anything at all on youth. Prior to this video, it has led to a slew of many lolicons and Kino himself trying to farm any gotcha possible with Colin and SK. It led to an out-of-context clip that people have weaponized against Colin that Joker even uses at the start of his garbage video.
In your hypothetical, I wouldn't be needlessly endangering a child because I would censor the face. You dumbass.
So the clip that he just played with the whole censoring face stuff and, you know, all that, yeah, that's missing context. That's important to understand why that was said. And this was part of another argument that I brought up earlier where I was arguing with another person on the morality of animated CP, where Jack Kentner was like, oh, you just singled out Arachnid, while he plays this clip knowing that I didn't only single him out. But for full context of why that was said, I was asked in that debate, if real-world child CP laws had the same legal loopholes as animated CP does right now, would you do the same thing that you did to expose someone? I said, yes, I would have to do that in that context, and I would censor it accordingly, and I would censor the face as well, so that it wouldn't be needlessly endangering a child in my efforts to, you know, expose someone, which I think is a perfectly reasonable response. And it's so ironic that you cut context from that, then come into my server saying this as well, and you made this video. And then you have the self-awareness of a deer in headlights by talking about honesty, quote unquote. Like, shut the fuck up.
As stated, the reason Colin was asked the hypothetical was because he indeed shared Arachnid Youth's posts and censored them past the spoiler filter so only the faces of fictional characters could be made out. From my memory, Lolicons on Twitter attempted to weaponize this as Colin trying to share animated CP that they defend towards his audience that may include younger viewers, even though Colin heavily censored it and he's only done it for the sake of exposing Arachnid and spreading awareness. How does one even rationalize Colin as the one being in the wrong in the situation where he's calling out what someone created as being bad, yet these same people want to defend the creator of said bad thing? These people are beyond mentally fucked.
The next part of the video is him bringing up some stuff from James Gunn's like past actions or Twitter posts, etc. that have some kind of involvement in like stuff. I don't really know how much of it's true. I don't really care to look into it. I never even cared for how like James Gunn is as a person. And while he is talking about SK in that part of the video, it still kind of stretches to me because I like the Guardians movies. I like James Gunn's movies. And even if you could give me all the proof in the world that James Gunn did the most horrible, heinous acts possible, it wouldn't really matter to me because I'm not supporting James Gunn on a personal level. I'm just enjoying what he makes because that brings me enjoyment, you know, separating art from the artist and all that.
Kino himself doesn't even say Colin or SK use actual CSEM to lure in predators.
Oh yeah, this is something he publicly admitted to a server, and if you ask him, he'll gladly admit to that because he says that he, under normal circumstances, he would not download C, but or with this alleged CSEM, there's a loophole, so that somehow makes it okay.
Endangering a child? I'm not needless. No. In your hypothetical, I wouldn't be needlessly endangering a child because I would fucking censor the face. You dumbass.
When any person who uses their brain for even 5 seconds realizes, that doesn't make it okay at all. Like even like people who self-proclaim professional pred hunters don't lure like predators using actual CSEM or like graphic images of children because they understand that would be antithetical and only increases the chances of it being distributed. And this is why I just call bullshit on him actually believing Arachnid Youth is pedo, as he exclaims him to be. So he could easily send all of this.
And from what I could only guess, he's referring to Colin's Discord post about Arachnid's creation, which we went over already, hence why it makes sense he would call it alleged, because he wants to tie it back to the point that there's no actual case against Youth. The whole debacle with these guys is extremely messy, and if anyone really doubts me or actually cares to get literally everything about this straight, I'll link multiple videos and responses in the description, and those videos also include even further context on everything in their descriptions, in case anyone thinks I'm lying or being malicious. But in a nutshell, Kino doesn't even make the direct accusation that Colin or anyone uses real CSEM in any way, let alone any method to lure in predators. If anything, he tries to criticize Colin for the clip where he explains what he would do in a hypothetical situation. Colin himself says his sole purpose is to simply provide and spread as much awareness as possible so no one has to associate with those such as Arachnid Youth. I severely doubt Colin is dumb enough to host actual forms of CP in his server, even for the sake of spreading awareness, given that, you know, that's a crime. So guess fucking what? That's right, Joker is lying again, even about what people he's using as a tool to provoke false allegations will say. That's insane, and worse because he has the audacity to directly lie to a horrific degree that someone holds actual CSEM. What is wrong with you? You know this is not true.
Lastly, we have Gamingrift, the Gamingrift, who excused James Gunn's acts like his parties and tweets about touching kids and saw the drawings as worse for some reason. He said separate the art from the artist, which is a statement, I guess, but if you can say
which is a statement, I guess. Like,
it's a statement, I guess, and then moves on.
He literally just doesn't care about what I said. Like, he doesn't actually disagree with it, but he's gonna frame me as being bad anyways.
But if you can say that for James Gunn of all people, who has next to no rivals in bad celebrity track records, other than Diddy, then you have no right trying to morally cancel another person if James Gunn is fine with you.
Why is that? No, that's a false equivalency. Like, that, because again, it's like, the artwork from the okay, wait, hang on. This is such weird logic. So apparently, according to Ultimate Joker, I should be okay with child porn just because, like, that's separating the art from the pedophiles. Are you kidding me? The hell is that logic? You just did not understand what I said with that point. The point that I made was that a movie or a game or a piece of media or whatever, like, you separate the game from the people who made it. You separate the film from the people that made it. Like, if you're reviewing the film, you stick with the film. You don't review the fucking director's history. That's stupid.
The comparison of James Gunn's shady behaviors versus P. Diddy's actual convicted crimes also don't really work for obvious reasons. Again, what the former has done is not to be justified or okay, but there is a difference between an individual with no filter who hasn't actually been convicted or proven to have done anything versus an individual who has been convicted, been found guilty, and is actually in jail for legitimate sex trafficking. And again, both of these situations are bad, but there is a noteworthy difference. I can't wait for Joker to see this and lose his mind while screaming that I'm defending Gunn's actions anyway and ignore everything else I've said.
Like all of these YouTubers I just listed off and a few other just as insignificant YouTubers shown here are moral jokes. This shit is inexcusable, and everyone who knows this but can't acknowledge it as they try to cancel others should be ashamed.
Okay, I guess let's tackle this and go through one by one. We'll start with comic legend, quote, some nobody who exists in SK streams to parrot his PDF defense of James Gunn despite going after someone for drawings. I don't remember or know much of what Legend has said, but I wouldn't be surprised if he took the same consistent stance of noting that both of these instances are bad, and given that you even say that his take is similar to SK's, I'm just gonna reasonably assume your assertion is bullshit, because SK even says that the shit Gunn did was worthy of criticism. Then there's High CHD, which I'm also pretty sure never directly spoke to Joker either, and I can almost guarantee that the only reason he's even featured here is because he also made response videos to Joker that hurt his feelings. Another response video slop SpideyTuber who watched what we had to say about Gunn and still makes pro-Gunn, anti-Snyder videos without acknowledging what Gunn has done. I'm not even gonna repeat myself with why this doesn't work. This really isn't the expose you think it is, at least not towards the other individuals you want to call out to feel like you have something over them on YouTube. You really don't, man. And then there's me, a former friend who watched what we had to say about Gunn and was personally messaged by me on Twitter about what Gunn has done, but would not concede on Gunn's behavior being bad. So here's the DMs that actually had to do with Joker harassing me about James Gunn, I guess. I never refused to admit Gunn's behavior from decades ago was bad. I simply refused to engage on the subject without it being on a VC, as that's what I would have preferred. I mean, if you want to criticize me that I could have just answered in a simple statement directly in text, fine, I guess, go for it. But one, I don't really feel I owe anything to this piece of shit who never stops harassing me and sending me creepy shit. And two, pretty sure I already made the statement of separating art from the artist in the SK streams that I admittedly had no business really being in. So this is just another one of Joker's outright lies. His video kinda ends off with some oddball virtue signal while still fixating on how he hates Gunn's movies, to where, again, you can't help but wonder if this is all primarily spite driven, all because he was unhappy with the movie. But also a weird message that everyone should do their own research and look into things without bias, but that's literally the opposite of what Joker does in actuality. He was willfully ignorant towards the claims of arachnid youth. He went on a lying spree utilizing Kinoflex on shit he didn't know about despite having hours of evidence he could have easily at least skimmed through, rather than relying on someone else to just lend a mic and video to continue poisoning the well with gallons of false info that Joker wouldn't even think of fact-checking. That, to no one's surprise, gets refuted. He continues to be pressed into admitting some level of fault, as he couldn't even admit completely, only to go back on his words later just because he held a grudge for the dumbest of reasons, when said grudges have and could have been better settled if he learned to just behave like an adult. So instead he proceeds to make another video that's backed by a friend to do research for him while lying about others he's been around, while he deflects perfectly valid criticism. It's really ironic how for the last year Joker has been crying over Rift's video of him calling him racist or any other video that Joker felt was slanderous, and how he felt Rift was motivated to attack his character all over not agreeing over a fucking video game. But now here he is slandering everyone else in real time confidently, all for not nodding along in agreement hating the director he does, because it comes at the cost of the director he loved. So he calls out and points to as many bigger names as he can for things they've never said, and even makes shoutouts begging for a bigger channel to see his slop. He has literally become the thing he's hated for so long.
You are so fucking ignorant.
1 year ago, I made a video response to one of Joker's many problematic takes after I came to the realization of what a bad person he truly was. I solidified and established that he has vicious ego-driven syndromes that go directly into delusional territory, that his ignorance and quick-to-judge attitude would get him nowhere, and becoming friends with him, even temporarily, was a mistake. But in the end, I did have hopes for him that one day he could change or operate differently. Hell, maybe even put up a front to act better. And for a moment, he seemed to be on that track. But then I ended up being right and wrong at the same time to worse degrees than I even thought. Instead of ever taking a second to look at his behaviors or even the behaviors of others he surrounds himself with, he chooses to deflect and switch gears to a completely different subject in order to bail himself out, and then actively lies about everyone else he deems associated, so he and his viewers can justify things to themselves. It's sad. It's really fucking sad. I know you don't really need to be a halfway decent person to do well online. Joker in the end will likely succeed in his endeavor. He knows how to play the algorithm game right. He knows how to appeal to select hive minds that are not good. He's already gathering people with inconsistent standards who don't care about the bad factors of his character and, like him, have selective morals. The saying is tried and true. You attract the audience that is a reflection of yourself. Joker's community is just as fucked as he is. They don't actually care about problematics that were pointed out to him. They care about feeling like they've won something. That's all that matters to a lot of these people. Joker is not a good person, and his audience is filled with not good people, so I doubt no matter how bad it is or how bad he gets, his fans will still gather to him and adhere to everything he says, no matter how unhinged. This is the same guy who generalizes and leans into stereotypes of not only other ethnic groups, but groups overall, cares not when he comes off as racist, sexist, or bigoted, but then will still cry when someone understandably gets such an impression and calls him that, but then still claims he can be edgy, but when pressed, he cowers brutally and cry bullies his way through everything. He shit talks SK gleefully despite being on his knees begging for SK's validation during the stream so he could get his ripped hit piece off, while admittedly never having changed his mind or stance or anything.
At you from the start, there's actually some aspects of your content I like tearing apart those far right people like Ben Shapiro, lost people.
Also, No Way Home sucks.
Take serious.
Yeah.
But anyway, we want to segue into another topic of honesty and transparency. And I will be honest, going through the abundance of response videos we've had, yours did not break terms of service in terms of the rules of defamation. And in terms of whatever gossip happened between you and Colin, I'm neutral. I don't really care if you don't, as Pebble said, freedom of association. But I do want to raise concerns about who you are siding with. As I said, I will not pin this on you. But the Gamingrift here has made tons of textbook defamation
videos
claims.
Okay, go.
But anyway, we do want to share some information, and I think you will need to share your screen. We bundled every textbook definition line, and in terms of the reasons you fell out of Colin, a lot of these things still spill over to the Gamingrift, as he's made 9/11 jokes and even used the word retarded himself. But we have a Google Drive we'll like to share with you that condenses everything into a short minute clip, and you could say if you don't stand by him. You don't have to be on my side or anything. You could still dislike me. Your response video was honest, but we'd like you to go through that, and I think you might need to share your screen in order for this to be presented to you. It's short.
Gun. But there you go, more SK hypocrisy where this little chronically online weasel snake bitch doesn't bring any of this up with James Gunn, even though he has like 10 or more videos shilling for his mid-at-best popcorn flick movies.
How can people really believe that Joker is a man of any morals whatsoever when he's openly and privately being two-faced as shit? Joker is not a rational person, let alone a moral one, let alone a smart one. If he was, why does he always need Resikin to do research for him on massive things? Why does he behave so immaturely and represent his takes with such a heavy ego and draw out the most insignificant points and blow them out of proportion? Why does he always have to find a way to pivot or deflect whenever pressed on something? Why does he say one thing when convenient but then change years later on? Why does he confidently lie all the time? Does this really speak to someone who carries supreme intelligence to you? I know there's no getting through to Joker's audience, but just for 1 second, really think about this. If not only I, someone who was friends with him but stopped once realizing he was indeed not a good person, but multiple people are consistently pointing out the same thing, and it's not just about Spider-Man. Don't don't you think there's any weight to the points whatsoever? This is literally your king is a pretender moment. The least you can do is hold Joker himself to somewhat of a higher standard. I can almost guarantee you others will make response videos that will more than likely be way better than the shit I'm hurling out here. And even if they don't say the same thing as I'm willing to bet they'll do a better job at pointing all the flaws in Joker's arguments and ways of operation. What is it really going to take for Joker's fans to register that he might not be a very good person, or he at least might be a little bit fucked up? The answer is nothing. I'm at the point where I genuinely hope Joker loses his channel. No, really, he doesn't deserve to have a platform because it only attracts like-minded, hateful, bitter individuals angry at the wrong thing and just as crazy and backwards as he is, while actively spreading true misinformation about real individuals that he doesn't like. In the big 2025 bigotry, hatred, bias, misconstrued worldviews, and uncaring attitudes to any decency or even integrity are not only getting more and more normalized, but straight up rewarded. And along with that, the worst things one could think of, do, or say are now super based and awesome to everyone now. Cancel culture be damned. Joker dragged me into this shit show with a warning that a storm was coming and he'd hate for me to get caught in the crossfire. Motherfucker, even when you use my clips that I didn't even stand by as talking points, no one cared about me. There is no crossfire for me to get caught in. Hell, even in making this video, I have nothing to gain. All I can do at the end of the fucking day is hit the fucking upload button and hope that enough people and the right eyes see this. Rift and I are still gonna be on decent terms, nothing too grand as we've put aside our issues and resolved them, and he also only ever wanted to be done with the whole thing too. Yet you still continue to drag him in the shit as well. You can't be surprised when he responds to you when you're the one dragging him into things first. Colin and I are cool now. He did some fucked up shit and was on heavy debate me bro demon times, and controversies aside, he seemed to have chilled out significantly, focusing more on himself and gaming and straying away from heavy drama. He could also more than likely kick your ass in Marvel Rivals. SK and I almost never see eye to eye, but even then, he's still an open and honest and direct and, you know, not lying individual who continues to repeat genuinely bad behavior towards others who have done him no real wrong. I may not really like him, but I definitely respect him on a way bigger standard in front, especially considering his morals are way better than yours ever could be, Joker, even if some of them can be a bit cutthroat. Along with pretty much everyone else touched upon in this video, however, they at least have some level of tact. They've got traits and histories worthy of criticism, myself included. Some of us more than others, but at least they have true fairness and honesty tied to them, and at least have a genuine effort to make a change for better, unlike you, the clown living up to his name and doing the worst shit possible, and does nothing but lie and make no improvements whatsoever. You lied about SK and friends being hypocritical, you lied about Colin, you lied about Gamingrift because he hurt your little feelings, you lied about people who've never even interacted with you, you lied about me twice now, and still had the audacity to try to siphon friendship from me. No, Joker, we're not just gonna magically be friends again. I had my doubts, but please stop crushing on me as well. There are no hopes for improvements to how Joker carries himself at all when he continues to act like this over shit that's so dumb. Fuck him and his viewers. You wanna call out a 60-year-old man for shit he said 20 years ago to try to paint him out as something awful now? Go for it. Just stop lying about everyone else you drag into it, especially when you have no case against us or even him. You're an insane man-child who has no maturity or true rationale whatsoever, and it's made even worse when everyone collectively agrees that your points are easily refuted with the following statement.